One.
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. I guess it's morning still. So just regarding your question on number 11, so it's a little bit different than 6. So that might be where you're having some issues and that you have to kind of solve it. So it's going to bring into play some things that you might have seen last year, uh, depending on which math you have in your background. So it might bring something like quadratics into play, or it might bring something like solving equations into play. So that's probably where maybe some of the issues are for you. So when the Blackboard opens up here, we'll try working out. Let's do letter C there because that one looks uh, fairly reasonable. And then we'll see, and then you can maybe try 1 or B or anything like that. Okay, so if we were looking at 11C, so 11C is this one here. Let's get the marker out here first. There we go. So let's try that one. So it's saying that n minus 1 factorial over n minus 2 factorial equals number 8. Okay, so this is 11C we're looking at. Okay, so what you got to do is you've got to expand out this top and this bottom. You want to expand it out until it gets to this bottom number so that you can cancel. So I'm going to expand the whole thing out so that we can see it. N minus 1. Then the next one after that is n minus 2. Then n minus 3. And we're going to do that all the way down to 1. Okay, and that's the top. The bottom starts at n minus 2. Then n minus 3, n minus 4, and so forth, all the way down to 1. And that's going to equal an 8. Okay, so this is where it's a little bit tricky when you're solving this one. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to cancel out everything here goes like that. So the only thing you're left with on the left side of your equation is n minus 1 over a 1. But we can just say n minus 1 over 1 is the same thing as n minus 1, equaling 8. Okay, and then when you want to solve this, it's just a little bit of algebra now. Add 1 to both sides, and equals 9. Okay, so that would be an example of kind of how you do the solving. Okay, I'm going to, number D is a little bit harder because it's got a 3 in there. Okay, so that's where it gets a little bit tricky. But if you can do, you should be able to do something like A now, or B there. Okay, the only tricky part is if you get something like B, which I'm going to work out for you because it's going to be quadratics. So these ones are okay. But if you go to something like B, okay, you can see that that's n plus 2 on top, right? Factorial. Okay, and then you've got n factorial on the bottom, equaling 6. Okay, this one is pretty tricky. The reason being because you're not just going to get a single one on the top. So if we expand the top, go n plus 2, n plus 1, n minus 1, and all the way down to 1. Okay, now we're going to expand the bottom, n minus 1, and all the way down to 1, equaling 6. So these ones are much more difficult in the sense that when you do your canceling here like this, you'll note that there's 2 factors left. So that's where you're getting into solving quadratics and factoring. Some of your grade 10 math, for sure your grade 11 math, but it gets introduced in a lot in grade 10. Okay, so in this one here, we've got an n plus 2 times an n plus 1 equaling a 6. So that's difficult to solve. We can't solve it in that form. So what we do is we FOIL this out. First, inside, outside, last. So first is n squared. Insides is 2n. Outside, 1 times n. So then we get another n. And then last is 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so then we have to add these n's together. Okay, and then we have to subtract 6 from both sides. So subtracting 6 from 2 is -4, equaling 0. Okay, so once you've got it in a quadratic form like that, okay, this is where you got to go back to your grade 10 and 11.
Interruption. We have a presentation starting in a few minutes at the gymnasium. I've asked all classes to assemble in the gym with staff present to be able to do the presentation.
Okay, I got to go here right away, but I'll just finish this off. So here we're going to factor this, n, right? Okay, now we need two factors that multiply to -4 and add to +3. So that would be +4 and -1. So if we multiply that, it gives us a -4. If we add them, it gives us +3, equaling 0. So then we solve it. We go n plus 4 equals 0, or n minus 1 equals 0. So that tells us that n can equal a -4, or n can equal a 1. So we move the 1 over. So there's two possible answers there. Now, if we know with factorials, can't have negative numbers for the factorials. So it'll probably be this one in the book. Okay, so I got to go to this presentation, but I'll send this off to you, and hopefully that'll help you. If you're still struggling with it, that's okay. Well, I can find some more for you, or something like that, if you're still having some trouble once you try a few others. Okay, so good luck.